What's going on, guys and gals? My name is NekoFluttershy. Welcome to a video. So first things first, I just want to say I love Nintendo. Nintendo has some amazing things. You know, great games, great game consoles, you know. Some fucking awesome shit that they have done over the several years that they've been a thing. You know, back in the 80s with the NES, the 90s with the Super Nintendo, and the N64, early 2000s with the GameCube and the Wii. It was fucking amazing! They did some good shit. They had the Switch, they had the Wii U, and let's face it, yeah, that was somewhat of a failure, but I want a Wii U, right? So, I am a Nintendo supporter all the way, right? I'll buy their consoles and buy their games. And the games that they come up with are fucking awesome. Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, fucking amazing. However, just because they make good games and game systems does not exactly mean that they are a good company overall, and that they don't make mistakes. And as you've been seeing on the internet all over the place, you know, some ordinary gamers talked about it, optimists talked about it, and now I'm talking about it. Nintendo is scummy. Nintendo is an asshole. Right? Now the first thing I'd like to say again is I love Nintendo. I support their content, their games. But you have to admit, they are fucking stupid when it comes to their decisions on certain things. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is there's this YouTuber, I think he killed himself, I'm not sure. The guy's name was Etika. I don't know much about him. You know, all I know is that there was a big deal when he died. It shook the internet as a whole, especially on YouTube, to its very core. It basically, you know, got people talking. It did a lot of things. And he was a hardcore fan of Nintendo from what I heard. Which I don't blame him. And again, Nintendo has some fucking awesome games. They have some awesome consoles. Hell, the GameCube to this day is my all-time favorite video game console. I mean in general. That beats out the PS4, PS3, the Xbox 360. I love every game system I've ever played. But the GameCube has always, you know, has been and possibly always will be my all-time favorite game system, right? So, you know, he was a fan of Nintendo and their products. And when he died, obviously it shook the world to its very core. It got people talking, and YouTube and stuff like that had problems afterwards, and, you know, trying to figure out what to do. Well, recently there was an organization. They made, they made Joy-Cons. Well, they may not have been Joy-Cons. They may be like protective sleeves or whatever for them. Kind of like the protective Wii Remote skin thingamafuckers that, you know, the Nintendo Wii had for the controllers on the Wii. And all the proceeds, basically they were Etika themed, and all proceeds of, you know, basically whoever bought these things, all the proceeds would go to, they would go to basically a mental health and suicide prevention, you know, charity and organization. Basically, they were selling that shit for charity, right? None of the profit was being made, you know, by the people themselves. They weren't taking the money. They weren't using Nintendo's brand to do these things. But, you know, they ended up doing a good thing for the community and society in the form of something that a lot of people enjoy, video games. And Nintendo, being the dumbasses that they are, they ended up doing the worst possible thing you could ever imagine them doing. They shut that shit down because, oh, you're using our Joy-Cons, you're using things for the Nintendo Switch, we did not authorize you, blah blah blah. Basically a cease and desist, if you will. Which that in itself is already scummy because of the fact that I guess Etika was a huge fan of Nintendo, so to spit in his name and basically saying, yeah, fuck you, kid, you know, something like that, that's already bad enough. But to see that Nintendo doesn't give two shits about charity, and, you know, they are... I don't know if it's Nintendo as a whole, or if it's just Nintendo of America, because America, we've done some fucked up shit. I'm pretty sure Shigeru Miyamoto probably wouldn't mind. You know, he probably wouldn't care. But here in the US, there's problems up the ass. And that is the thing about it. You know, it's like, you know, the fact that Nintendo does these things. And that's not the first thing. Like, yeah, it's one of the things that Nintendo has done recently that pisses people off. And then that's what got Nintendo trending on Twitter. And that's basically what got Nintendo in a lot of trouble. And what ultimately led to, you know, Twitter talking about it, and people like Some Ordinary Gamers and Optimus and people like that talking about it, and now me. And that's just one thing that they did. And they do a bunch of things wrong that don't even hurt their brand at all. Basically, these proceeds, again, they weren't... I guess it's just because that the proceeds weren't going to Nintendo. Oh, none of this money is going to us? Well, I guess we'll hire people to do a cease and desist. We'll do this. We'll order a cease and desist and have this shit taken down ASAP. Speaking of taking shit down that doesn't need to be taken down, that doesn't hurt Nintendo's brand, fan games, ROM hacks, and fan games as a whole have been a staple in video games forever. Sega has had some fan games. Actually, that's what I believe what Sonic Mania came to be. Is someone had an idea for a fan game, and they did that, and they basically made Sonic Mania into a thing. And there's a lot of fan games for you know, Sony games and you know, Microsoft games. Mods as well, you know, some mods and things like that. Well, Nintendo fucking hates creativity. They don't give a shit about your creativity. If you are using their brand, which some may say, oh yeah, well, it's Nintendo's choice because it's their property, it's you know, it's their IP, they can do whatever the fuck they want. Yes, that is true. They can do whatever they want. It's their brand, it's their property, they can do whatever they want. But, first off, it's not hurting anything. If anything, it's helping the sales of Nintendo. Because people see, oh, this is a ROM hack for Pokemon. Okay, I guess I'll buy the original copy of Pokemon just to see what things have changed in this ROM hack. And, you know, I'll play the original and buy the original. So, if anything, these ROM hacks are helping sales of Nintendo games and putting a little tiny bit of extra cash in Nintendo's pocket and stocks and whatever. So, it never made any sense to me as to why Nintendo would decide to basically say fuck you to the fan base. There have been so many ROM hacks and things that I would have loved to see or have seen in the community get taken down because of Nintendo and their cease and desists and shit. Like, really, Nintendo? Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, I get it. Like I said, it's your IP. Do whatever the fuck you want. But do you have to be a complete asswagon about it? Do you seriously think that this is going to earn you any brownie points or points in general? No, it's going to make people hate you. It's going to make people resent you. It's going to make people, you know, despise you. Yes, we love your game consoles, you know, like the Nintendo Switch, the GameCube, the Nintendo Wii, things like that. We love these things. But some of the tactics that Nintendo does, why in the fuck would they ever decide these things? Especially when it's not hurting their brand at all. It's not doing anything. It's not like they're trying to hurt Nintendo or anything. They're just, you know, people being creative, and while they're being creative, they're you know, getting people excited for certain games. You know, it's like, you know, Pokemon or Mario or you know, anything like that, Metroid, Fire Emblem, and games like that. Also, in addition, hell, you know, honestly, some of the fan-made games that I've seen, some of the ROM hacks that I've seen, and some of the games that I've seen come out of fan-made, you know, titles and stuff. If I were Nintendo, I would hire these people. I wouldn't, you know, discourage them from making ROM hacks. I would add them to the team, whether it be, you know, the Japanese version of Nintendo, or Nintendo of America, or Nintendo of Europe, or whatever. I would have actually hired these people, be like, you know what? I see what you can do with just by yourself, maybe like 2 or 3 other people. I've seen what you can do with our games, and we would like to hire you. That's what Nintendo should be doing. They should encourage creativity. And even if it is their IP, their intellectual property, they should still encourage people. And you know, and if Nintendo really has a problem with these sort of things, Nintendo should tell people about it. Be like, you know what? Okay, fine. You can mod certain games, but not everyone. Like, put a list of games that people can mod. You know, don't flat out discourage people from modding, because obviously that's not going to do anything. People are still going to mod no matter what, even if you get rid of one person, you know, and one ROM, you know, hack or whatever. You know, and besides, some of these games are so fucking old that Nintendo wouldn't be making much profit anyway. Like some of the NES games, like Super Mario Brothers, or whatever, like the original on the NES. You know, they're not going to be making much profit, if any at all, anyway, because the games are so old. So my big question is, you know, like, why are you so ridiculous? Why is Nintendo being so stupid? And honestly, I don't really know the answer to that, because I've always felt like Nintendo is cool, right? They've done some pretty awesome things in the past. They've done things in the present that I like. But the fact of the matter is that they're doing things that nobody really asked for. You know, cease and desists, and the fact that they don't give a shit about charity, or, you know, things like that. You know, they don't care at all about any of this shit. They just want money. And I get it. As a organization, I too would want money. But ultimately, what I would want the most is happiness of my people. The people that buy the software, and people that buy the hardware that we make. That's all I would want, is people to be happy. And yes, money would come really nice. You know, they would come pretty great. That would be nice to have. But ultimately, if push came to shove, you know, all I'd care about is making my company happy, making my fan base happy, making more money. Because by, you know, these fan games being released, and these ROM hacks and things like that, you know, you're gonna make more people buy your products, because, you know, people, what they want to do, they want people to, you know, see, hey, this is what you can do on Pokemon Fire Red, Leaf Green. So not only would it inspire, you know, creativity, but it will also most likely lead to some more sales of games that Nintendo has made. So if I were Nintendo, of any branch, you know, Japan, America, which I think mostly America would have a problem with the most, but, you know, something like that, I would be like, you know what? Yeah. You know what? Yeah, I'll allow people to do this. I have no problem with modding. honestly, I don't see what the big deal is, Nintendo. Like, why are you an asshole to people? Like, yes, I love your game systems. You make some cool things. You know, the Switch and whatever, which I still want to this day. But, you know, the problem is, you know, you do these stupid things that make no sense. Even if your intellectual property, you know, I get it. It's your property. Do whatever the fuck you want. However, one of the problems is the fact that you don't care about, you know, it seems like anybody else. You just want, you know, people to, you know, do as you please and, you know, whatever, and it's stupid. So my message to anybody that works at Nintendo, that has a problem with people modding games, and has a problem with people in general, you know, doing these things, just pipe the fuck down, shut the fuck up. You know, just let people do what they want. Because it's going to lead to more sales, most likely, in your games. And even if it doesn't, you have a higher shot of people buying your games, regardless of how old the games are. You know, you have more likely to get sales and things like that, because you allow people to, you know, to mod and ROM hack and basically be creative. And the whole Etika thing, that's just plain stupid, okay? That's just plain fucking, you know, retarded. Like, just because they use Joy-Con things, they're basically donating all the proceeds to something really important, okay? It's not like the money that they're making goes directly into their pocket. It goes into organizations that desperately need as much money as possible, not just for research, but to, you know, possibly try to combat the situations, you know, of suicide and mental illness and mental, you know, stability and things like that. You know, and by you basically giving these people a cease and desist because, oh, you use our Joy-Cons and you do things without our permission, it's just fucking stupid. It's just petty. You know, and in a way, I kind of think that Nintendo is turning into Disney. Or Marvel, or mostly Disney. Because there was a time, that Disney, when, you know, there was a little kid that died, and he idolized Spider-Man. You know, he highly idolized him. And Nintendo, or not Nintendo, the family wanted to seek the blessings of, you know, Disney to see, oh, hey, you know, our son was a hardcore fan of, you know, of Disney and Marvel and Spider-Man. Would it be okay if we have Spider-Man on our son's grave? And Nintendo, or not, I keep saying Nintendo because this whole video is about Nintendo, but Disney was like, no, fuck you, you sacks of shit, basically saying no, that, you know, and which was stupid, because first off, that was what the parents wanted. That's what the son would have wanted. That's what, you know, that's what, and a lot of people stuck by the kid's side, as they should have. And that's and that's kind of like what Nintendo is doing here. You know, oh, you're using our property, we don't give a shit about you, cease and desist. You know, cease and desist, cease and desist. Like, really? Come on, Nintendo, I thought you were fucking better than that. I thought that, you know, you were the masters of innovation, and you allowed people, well, I knew you would, you know, they would never really allow people to do these things, but I thought Nintendo would actually, you know, see that, you know, this would be good for everybody involved. It would be good for Nintendo because sales would boost of whatever game is being ROM hacked and things like that. And it's just a ROM hack. It's not like an official game. It's not like, you know, people are stealing the official... I mean, in a way, it kind of feels like that, but it's not exactly that. They're not stealing the game. In a way, again, in a way they are, but it's not that big of a deal as actually stealing or, you know, illegally downloading, you know, the actual game. ROM hacking is everywhere. And hacking in general, and modding is everywhere as well. You can't just, you know, you basically can't just expect people to like you. Ah. Whoa, kid. Whoa, that was good. But you know, Nintendo, just listen to people for once in your goddamn life. Just listen to people when, you know, if there's something going on, like the whole Etika thing, and people are raising money for charity, and to research and things like that, you need to be more supportive of that. Otherwise, people are going to hate you and basically stop supporting you. Ultimately, what Nintendo is doing is causing people not only to stop supporting them, but it's also causing people to be like, yeah, fuck you, Nintendo. You know? And you know, just because they use intellectual property of yours, I mean, you know, I thought Nintendo would be a company or a brand. I mean, again, I'm sure, you know, Shigeru Miyamoto himself would not mind that at all. He'd be like, oh, you're doing something for someone that was in love with our brand and our company and the games that we made. Okay, yeah, sure. And as long as all the proceeds are going to charity and for research and things like that, hell yeah. You know, I'm sure Miyamoto himself would be pleased with what Nintendo can do, what Nintendo has done, what Nintendo has allowed other people to do. If it weren't for Nintendo, this sort of thing, I'm sure that if Etika would have died and he would have liked something else like Sony or you know, Microsoft, they would have done the same thing for that. But, you know, because of Nintendo, you know, they were able to do things like this because, you know, it was important. It's really important to people, and honestly, it's important to me as well. Because honestly, I have had days where I feel like shit, and I feel like death is the only option. So, you know, I think research into this, and you know, my message to Nintendo, stop the whole cease and desist bullshit, okay? Stop the whole fucking cease and desist, okay? This is going to a good cause, and in terms of ROM hacking, you know, when people do ROM hacking, I would say just allow people to ROM hack, because, you know, allow people to express creativity in what they do. And if, you know, if it's something you don't like, you know, just because it may contain something that wouldn't really be suitable for people and, you know, for a lot of people, then maybe. But even so, like, I'm pretty sure that the person that's doing the ROM hacking would be like, oh, warning, this contains subject matter that may not be suitable for all audiences. Kind of like my channel. You know, it's not suitable for all audiences. It's not suitable for little kids or some people that are offended by me saying fuck all the time. You know, but, you know, that there are ways around it to where people win. And if you're worried about profit, you know, maybe you should get involved with some of these ROM hacks. You know, get involved with the ROM hacking community and be like, okay, we can allow you to ROM hack this game or that game, but first off, we need to be involved, and we would like to see a little bit of the profit after the ROM hack is made, because it's our intellectual property. So there are workarounds. There are ways around it, Nintendo. Don't be a complete asswagon just because you're turning into Disney and being highly protective of your IP. Because just because, you know, I mean, because just because of that, I mean, you're causing people to hate you. You're causing yourselves to be one of the laughing stocks of the video game industry. As if we don't already have enough with Bethesda and EA and things like that. I don't want to see Nintendo be the next one up. I don't want to see Nintendo become the next laughing stock of the internet and of the video game industry, because I love their products. And also, honestly, yes, I will continue to support Nintendo, because I want a Nintendo Switch. I want to get one of those. I want a Wii U. I want every Nintendo console ever. And maybe I may buy myself another GameCube or Wii or something. I don't know. I mean, I just want a lot of content to play and things like that. But I am highly disappointed in you, Nintendo. I am very highly disappointed in you for all this bullshit that you're pulling. So again, my recommendation to Nintendo is, stop the whole ceasing and desisting thing. Allow these profits to be made to charity and organization and things like that, because in the end, it helps people. And when you help people, you may end up getting more sales in the long run. You may end up getting more people to buy your product. And think of it like this. If people kill themselves because there wasn't enough funds or whatever for mental health research or suicide prevention or whatever, if people kill themselves or harm themselves in any way, that's even less people to buy your products. That's less people to support you. And ultimately, you just lost a sale or two because of that. And if I were a company, I would want as much sales as possible, by whatever means necessary. Even if that means, allowing people to ROM hack and, allowing people out. And if I was Nintendo, hell, I would even pitch in and be like, hey, I see what you're doing. I see you're trying to, you're trying to basically do things for charity and things like that. Here, allow me to help you with that, and donate maybe 1,000 or 2, or even more maybe, because Nintendo is a several million, maybe even billion-dollar industry. So something like Nintendo could easily, hell, they could probably have enough money to pay for all the research for possibly every single, like St. Jude and Red Cross and things like that. They could easily do that. Just Nintendo, at the end of the day, do the right thing. And allow people to ROM hack. Allow people to mod your games. And allow people to do things for charity. Because at the end of the day, helping people is way more important than, all this money and money-hungry, power-hungry nonsense that you're pulling. And like I said, I'm pretty sure Shigeru Miyamoto would not mind at all the fact that, what these people are doing. Now, Nintendo of America, on the other hand, they're a bunch of greedy bastards, okay? So, maybe, for the companies that, for the company that's doing these sort of things, maybe talk to Miyamoto. And talk to Nintendo of Japan or something like that. And be like, hey, can we speak to Miyamoto for a little bit? I have something to tell you. Tell him. And then you tell him about the whole thing that you're doing for someone that was in love with their products. And most likely, Shigeru Miyamoto is going to be like, hell yeah, I will allow you to do these things. And I think it's a really important thing what they're doing, and I am happy that they're doing it, and very, very pleased of what they're doing. Because, again, at the end of the day, mental health is more important than people give it credit for. And, you know, people are more, you know, honestly, I think people need to see that. So anyways, guys and gals, that's going to be it for a video. If you like this video, give this video a like. If not, it's fine too. Don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on the whole damn thing. And don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon down below to get notified of my future uploads and live streams and whatever the fuck else I do. Follow me on Twitch because I do some live streams on there occasionally. I might actually do a live stream at some point, maybe today or tonight, tomorrow. I don't know. I've been wanting to do a live stream for a little bit. And as always, I will see you all in the next video. Peace out, people, and brohoof. Boom! Just Nintendo. Do the right thing at the end of the day. Allow these people to make, you know, profit for charity. Make you know, and because like I said, they're all going to a good cause. And also allow people to ROM hack, because at the end of the day, I'm sure that will increase your sales of games. And increase your money output and put you higher on the map.